This morning, we're going to be different from all the other shows. We're going to talk positives from the Saints' loss to the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday, and then we're going to say goodbye. See y'all Wednesday. Oh, wait. You want to air your grievances first? Okay, what do you think this is? Festivus? All right, let's open the floodgates of comments. Just give me a second to prepare myself mentally as the Dattitude podcast starts right now.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? I just checked. In fact, let me look again. Yep. No one has been fired yet. No one's still been fired. What an utter and ugly embarrassment. 44-13. This should be a fun 90 minutes. It was a close call this morning between watching the first quarter again or going through all the comments live. It was a tough call, but in the end, I chose Dattitude, episode number 418, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Monday, September the 22nd, 2025. If you're new here, maybe we got some Seahawks fans chirping around and flying around. Who knows? They got to be celebrating something in Seattle. I mean, it's not often that mediocre football teams get to win by as big a margin as they won, but they did. If you're new here, I'm your host, Jim Derry, 35 years on this New Orleans sports media scene, and thank you for being a part of the Datta family, whether you are been here for episode 418 of them or one, it doesn't make a difference. I want it on the record that I have all my hair this morning. As we start this show, I have all my hair. We'll see if that's still the case at 12:30. Why? Because even on days like today, especially on days like today, we invite you to be part of the show, and every show by typing in your comment. And you type it in, we show it. Most of them, not all of them, most of them, especially if you're new. If you're new, you got about a 98% chance of getting your comment showed. If you're not new, you have a 95% chance of at least getting your first comment shown, and then we'll see after that where we go. We're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. If you're watching after the fact or listening on any of the major podcast platforms, we're on all of them. You get in touch with me on X, Jim Derry Jr., via email, jderry@theadvocate.com. And if you haven't already done so, now it's my spiel, my plea to please subscribe to our YouTube page. What's coming up today? Well, you know what's coming up today. We're going to talk a whole lot about the Saints and what happened. You see the headline there, unprepared and embarrassed, because those are the two best words I could think of to describe what we saw yesterday in Seattle. Completely and utterly unprepared. They look like they sleepwalked through the game. They look like they went out and partied all week. That's coming up on Derry's dime. I got a good dime for you this morning. Sort of like Tulane. As much as I love John Summerall, maybe Tulane was less unprepared. Maybe they just aren't that good. We'll talk about them later. That's going to be well later in the show. We're going to talk a little bit about LSU beating up on Southeastern, and really the news about LSU is breaking this morning. If you haven't seen it, the Tigers' 3 annual opponents for SEC football, their schedule going forward have been set. They will, on an annual basis, play Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Arkansas, and beyond that, they will play 6 rotating SEC opponents. But they will play Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Arkansas every year. That's pretty good considering how tough the SEC is. Again, that's later in the show. We'll squeeze it in. Today, again, mostly going to be about Saints. You remember last week when I said, I was trying to find positives. I'm like, it could be worse. You could be fans of the Browns or the Bears. Yeah, maybe I was wrong. What did the Browns and Bears do this week? Browns beat up on the Packers, who, going into last week, I might have rated the Packers number 1 in the NFL before last week. I mean, I really think I would have. And the Browns, what did they do? They came out with an inspired effort, mostly on defense. Man, you want to talk about inspired. They fired up their crowd. They played like diddly poo on offense, didn't make a difference. Their defense was outstanding. They had Jordan Love just completely confused and befuddled. They shut down Josh Jacobs. They did an awesome job on defense. And the Browns, so the Saints aren't better than the Browns. And as far as the Bears go, I don't know where that's the Bears team that I know Bears fans wanted to see. Ben Johnson looked inspired, gave Caleb Williams new life. He had time to throw the ball. The Bears look pretty darn good. And now, don't get me wrong, the Cowboys aren't good. But still, I don't care if they're good or not. The Bears were fantastic. So who are the Saints better than right now as we go forward? Better than the Giants? I mean, at least they have Jackson Dart coming soon and a decent defense. Think of the 0-3 teams in the NFL right now and tell me who the Saints are better off than right now. Jets? I mean, Jets, they have Aaron Glenn. They have two good running backs, and they have a superstar wide receiver. So, no. Texans? Please. Give me a break. I mean, what about maybe the only two teams that I think you can even realistically say the Saints are, you can't say they're better than them, at least on par. You can't say the Saints are better than anybody. You could say maybe they're on par with the Titans and Dolphins. Maybe the Titans and Dolphins. I mean, Miami's really the only team I can think of that might be worse off in a worse situation right now than the Saints, which is about 8 notches than where we said before the season started, at least the end of last year. Miami's going to be in cap hell. Tua signed to this ridiculous contract, sort of like what y'all were saying. It's way worse than the one that Derek Carr was signed to. So they're pretty much in a spot right now the Saints were in last year at this time. It's sad. When's the last time you have been this down about your football team? And look, you want this to be a happy joy show or whatever. I know some of the optimists are here. We're going to get to the comments in a minute. I promise we're going to get to the comments very shortly. Within the next 3 minutes, we're going to start getting the comments. But if you're looking for something to make you feel better, I don't know how to make you feel better. There's nothing to make you feel better about what we saw on Sunday. Or is this team closer to the team we saw yesterday or the team we saw the first 2 weeks? I don't know the answer. I don't know how you could possibly know the answer. I had a feeling. I mean, I predicted a score of 27-10. Okay. I mean, I was pretty far off. It was way worse than that. It was 28-3 and 28-0 in the first quarter. Again, coming up to Derry's Dime in just a minute. Look, again, when's the last time you've been this down about this football team? You can't even say Katrina year. That doesn't count. We had way more problems in 2005 than football. I mean, I'm thinking 1999. Dick's last year. All right, I want to hear what you think because I know it's going to be plenty of, oh, Lordy, I just looked to see how many comments we got in the queue. A ton. I'm going to get to them. Before we get to those, rest of the show, Gabe's coming on later. We'll talk about LSU. We'll have a Monday Night Football prediction for you at the end of the show as well. Big game tonight, Lions and Ravens. At least football's still fun as long as you still love football. But before we get to all that, let me tell you about our friends at Evangeline Securities. They love football too, and they just want some good football in this area like we all do. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from their offices either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you'll be well-informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. They are much better than 0-3, I promise you. They are 3-0 with a bullet, baby. What happens after all that? We'll fill you in more later in the show. After we get the comments, after we get to Derry's Dime, after we hear from Kellen Moore. I can't wait to play you the clip from Kellen Moore. You want to talk about the inexperience shining through from this 37-year-old coach. That's coming up as well later this morning. Anyway, in the meantime, check out our friends at www.evangelinesecurities.com. I'm going to try to get to as many of them as I can get to before I get to the dime. UBN was first this morning. His picks got beat worse than the Saints. No, they didn't. No. Rocky's here. Good morning. Anything different expected? Look, no one. Look, don't be a Derry downer now, Rock. You've been the optimist, okay? You can't fall off of a cliff. All right. I'm gonna get to ultimate. I'm sure there's some optimists in here somewhere. Don't be the guy who's like, I still think this team can be good, and then all of a sudden you just fall off a cliff and you're worse than the realist. No, you got to stay even keeled. That's the thing about try to stay even keeled as best as you can. Remind yourselves, right? It's a rebuild. You got to lick your wounds. Going to be taking long ride ahead. Yep, no doubt about it. William, we're not going to spend time talking about Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck. I mean, maybe we'll talk a little bit about it later. But, I mean, when you're talking about the priority of things and problems for this team, I mean, Tyler Shuck's going to play. If you're that fired up about Tyler Shuck, he's going to play, okay? I mean, in the list of priority of problems, don't get me wrong, Spencer Rattler wasn't good yesterday. You see his stats in there, 28 to 39. Oh, that's not a bad. He only had 11 incompletions. He threw for 218 yards. I mean, he's dinking and dunking. He's looking like you're trying to teach someone who's in elementary school how to be ready for high school next week. But Spencer Rattler still, among the level of problems, if you want to list problems in priority, he's about 8th or 9th right now. We'll talk about it, but that's going to be later. Tom Trice, Blue Monday, is here. Let the commiserating begin. Unprepared is accurate. Been a fan since inception, but never seen a game as bad as yesterday. Never. Your Sundays are now open. It wasn't the worst game in Saints history, y'all. It was bad, but look, recent memory bias always changes the thought process, right? I mean, there are worse games. Trust me. I'm going to get to one in the dime coming up again in a minute. Chad Gage is here. Hello, everyone. Feel sorry for Shuck being sent in for one series. That seems disrespectful when he could have got at least one quarter. Come on, man. Let's not focus on quarterback today. Again, I am definitely going to talk about quarterback, and it's absolutely something that we can address later on the show. But let's not focus on quarterback today. Seriously. If you think that for 1 second, I'm going to say that. If you think for 1 second, that Tyler Shuck would have made one difference yesterday, you're cray-cray. Okay? Again, was Spencer Rattler good? No. Again, part of that is the coaching. They're not letting him go still. Or maybe they are letting him go and he doesn't let himself go. I don't know what it is. Okay? But you can't keep throwing 7-yard passes. But that's not the problem yesterday. If Tyler Shuck played, the score would have been probably exactly the same. Just saying. Apathy says that wasn't just bad. That was Mike Dick, a big shot commercial. Terrible. Pretty bad. Oh, now you're jumping on board, Tom. Embrace the suck. Go back. I got a short that I did about 3-4 months ago. It's back there. Daryl Hayden Daryl Hayden found some bright side. Good morning, Daryl. At least we still have LSU. He did get 46 points from Seattle's defense yesterday in fantasy. Man, what kind of league are you playing in? 46 points. See, I can't play in leagues like that. If you get 46 points, see, I know I'm playing in a lower point scoring league. Not that we're going to get off on a tangent, but I mean, if you score 60 in my league, you did pretty well. 46 points from your defense. Oof. Charles Magus, good morning. Glad he doesn't have to work tomorrow. Hard to come to work after that terrible Sunday. Glad he doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Tony, good morning, Hoodats. Well, maybe not a good morning. Where do we go from here? I don't know, man. I mean, that's the kind of the question, right? Again, that's going to be a big part of Derry's dime coming up. Charles Schulman, hi from Baltimore. Well, hello. Scott Hartman, that was god awful. Usually watch the whole game, but he was going to stop and play pickleball instead. It rained, so he watched until the end. He lost more than the Saints did. Man, I get it. One Smoke says it's time to trade some players and get ready for the rebuild. Maybe. Scotty B World, finally your first live show. Well, welcome. We're glad to have you, Scotty B. Thanks for being here this morning. Brian S. Steve, good morning. I always felt pre-snap penalties were a sign of poor coaching. They are. should be worried that Moore is not ready to be an NFL coach? I mean, it's only 3 games, but yeah, you should be worried. You're still optimistic, you think. Again, that's part of it. 31 penalties in 3 games. Is that good? No, it's not good. Who dat, Lance? We still screaming who dat, baby. Who dat, daddy? Good morning, Dattitude family. We look like you. Even the optimist, who dat, daddy? I don't think you had enough poo emojis there, who dat, daddy. Rob's getting ahead of me. Seahawks had 21 points by the time the Saints had 6 penalties in the first quarter. That's not underprepared. He doesn't know what is. Okay, I'm going to get to my dime in just a minute. I got plenty of comments to get to. I promise you I'm going to get to it. We're going to get to a vast majority of them this morning. But those who are new here, the way I start off these shows after a few comments is I give you Derry's dime, which is my commentary, a la, Jim Henderson back in the day, sort of like Jeff Duncan does now. I don't know if you, by the way, if you haven't read Jeff Duncan's this morning column this morning, take a look at it. Basically says Kellen Moore's honeymoon is over. That is most certainly true. But anyway, in my dime, I give you my commentary and this is the only part of the show that's really scripted. It's my scripted thoughts. Sometimes this is how I've been doing the dime lately. I'm trying to go to sleep and I get myself ready. I start texting the dime to myself. And then I copy and paste and then kind of fill things in and whatever. That's what we did last night. About 70% of this was written right before I was going to sleep. So these were the final thoughts I had before I went to sleep last night. And look, it's where I stand right now with this team. And here it is. Look, back in July, just before the Saints began training camp and talking heads began to make predictions on what the final record would be this season, I told you it didn't matter. Mostly the record didn't matter because I was certain it wouldn't be pretty. Instead, I said all I wanted to see was improvement from week 1 through week 18. While it's still possible we say in January that this team is better than they were in September, it's impossible that the black and gold will be able to tell anyone they improved each and every week. That's because they were as bad Sunday in Seattle as they've been in almost as long as I can remember. That includes last year when they were playing the end of the season with the second and third string on the field. And everyone had a hand in it. Every single Saint. I mean, if you look hard enough, you probably could find something the equipment manager did wrong. At one point, very early in the game Sunday, my daughter Ella looked up at the TV and said, how did they already have 14 and we have 0? We need to start over and throw everybody away. Even a 14-year-old who has never watched an entire game of football in her life understands. It was 35-3, and our new coach decided to kick a field goal, which by the grace of karma failed. It was 38-3 before halftime, and he did it again. Yippee-ki-yay. It's now 38-6 at halftime. That'll give the troops a boost. In prep football, when it gets really bad, they have a running clock, sometimes for the entire second half. That's what officials should have done Sunday. Because even if the Buffalo Bills would have been allowed to come out and dress up as the Saints in the second half, it would have been a fruitless effort. In the end, a loss is a loss is a loss. When they're tallied up at the end of the season, the Saints gave away in the dome. When they are tallied up at the end of the season, the chance the Saints gave away in the dome in the opener counts the same as the no-show in Seattle yesterday, where a 37-year-old coach was horrendously unprepared and in over his head. And the 53 players on this roster showed up as if they had partied all Saturday night and had a massive hangover. The first quarter reminded me of the first half the Saints played in 2005 in Green Bay. Again, Katrina season, so it's tough to compare in the grand scheme of things. But that team had started 2-2. It seemed to be trying to lift the spirits of their fans who were going through their own individual hells at home. The Packers that year, who would later finish 2005, just one game ahead of the Saints at 4-12, scored 35 consecutive points over the course of 17 minutes. And Deuce McAllister incurred a season-ending knee injury. And I remember clear as day, while sitting on an air mattress in a rented home in Baton Rouge, listening to Bobby Hebert on WWL say, 35-3, 35-3. Are you kidding me? 35-3. I know, terrible Cajun accent. That's kind of what I was saying yesterday. At one point, it was the same score at nearly the same point of the game. Flashbacks. to Green Bay 20 years ago. This time, though, it was Randy from Araby who played the part of Deuce, tearing his ACL, getting up to grab the remote to change the channel so he didn't have to watch the second half. It's only 3 games, the optimist will say. Meanwhile, the pessimist will say, oh, it's only 3 games. Heading into 2024, the season hadn't had us. Heading into 2024, the team hadn't had a 7-game losing streak since 2005, the Katrina season. They've now had 2 of them in less than a calendar year. That's right, 2 of them. When they lose to Buffalo this Sunday, it will be the first 8-game losing streak since the 1-15 season of 1980. You're talking historically bad, folks. The truth is this. The last time the Saints won a football game, any football game, if you want to include preseason, any football game, it was 288 days ago, and there was a different coach here with a different quarterback. And a knowledge that soon changes, massive changes, were coming. Today, on this Monday, I'm not quite sure what changes any of us might see anytime soon, which means even in the back of the mind of an optimist, there isn't much hope to be found. In the world of a sports fan, there's nothing more sad than that. And that's my dime. I mean, it goes back to the question, where do you go from here? You want to find positives. The first 2 games, no matter what you think of anyone or anybody or whatever, sure, there were lots of negatives. You started 0-2. Of course there were negatives. But at least they showed up. At least they fought. And again, we're going to get to Kellen Moore's whatever you want to call it in a minute. But, remember last year when I just harped on Dennis Allen for being emotionless? Kind of what we saw yesterday. I'm not seeing any emotion. Again, he's a 37-year-old. He's in his 3rd game. I'm not telling you it's time to give up on Kellen Moore because that would be ridiculous. To say that the Saints made the wrong decision this early in the game would be ridiculous. You can't say that. Well, you can say whatever you want, but it'd be foolish to say that. But he's been overmatched. And at least 2 of 3 games just kind of looked like he was in way over his head. Is it going to change? I sure hope so. I sure hope that they learned their lesson. Look, I told you on Friday, I was worried that this team was going to go. And, I even mentioned something about Spencer Rattler with don't want him to have the deer in the headlight looks. You know what? The team had the deer in the headlight looks. I said that this team looked like they were hungover. I didn't even know this. I was listening to Red Bean last night. And apparently, and I don't know this to be true for sure, but if it is, this is kind of ridiculous. Kellen Moore apparently took the team on somebody's yacht or something, and they went out and, they only got there Friday, so it had to be, I guess, Friday night. They played like they were hungover yesterday. You're going out to play football, dude. I can't see Sean Payton doing that kind of crap. What Sean Payton would have probably done? Sean Payton might have taken the team and going out there on a Tuesday or a Wednesday and locked their asses in a hotel room, except when they were practicing. Man. I don't know, man. Keith Joyner, who dat from West Monroe, Northeast Louisiana. Welcome. Happy to have you here. Larry Bro, is anybody surprised we got our butts whipped? Somebody probably is. Ray says accountability is the word of the day. Glenn Doherty, we have a serious chance to get more L's than the 2008 Lions. You know why? Because the 2008 Lions went 0-16 when they had a 16-game schedule. You know what? I don't think they're going 0-17, but I got a lot of grief from a lot of people when I said I took the under 4.5 wins. I don't think I'm getting that grief today. All eyes on me says same old Saints. Haven't heard that in a while. SJG8 Saints fan says, I'm sorry, but we couldn't run the ball. Special teams was horrible. Defense couldn't stop anyone. They were terrible, man. Who that daddy's also saying he's taking back his 10-win optimism this season. See, now this is what I'm talking about, who that daddy. You can't, you can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what you can and can't do. But this is this is why I'm glad you have found the realist show. Okay. We don't go 1 week from saying they're going to be a 10-win team to being a 2-win team. Okay. you got to find happy middle ground, okay? Just be a realist, okay? Realize where this team is. You know the old adage that a team is probably never as good as you think they are, and they're never as bad as you think they are? I think that applies today. If you want to find some kind of positive, I don't think, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I guess it could always be worse, but I don't think even this team, I don't know if anyone could play as bad as the Saints played yesterday. Dontel Carlock says Moore is in over his head. Maybe. It's a little bit too early to say that, but maybe. It's possible. I mean, I can't tell you you're wrong. Darren Scott says, who dat from Kansas City, Missouri. Good morning, all. Welcome to the show. Tiffany says, good morning, who dat nation. Just getting back from Nolan. The chatter at the airport was pretty interesting. I mean, we can only get better than this. I mean, that's what I said, right? I mean, it can't get worse than this, right? And I know you see there, the Saints are 15 and a half point underdogs at Buffalo. By the way, that's at DraftKings, which is what we use on a regular basis, so I don't want to change now. But they're 16 and a half point underdogs almost everywhere else. So only DraftKings has it at 15 and a half. Man, they better find a way. I mean, Buffalo. I mean, how serious is Buffalo going to take them? That's why, I don't know. I don't want to give spoiler alerts, but I might take the 15 and a half. I know that sounds crazy, but usually when a team gets their ass just smoked and Buffalo's going to have this super high confidence, I could see the Saints covering next week, and maybe we have a different show. I don't know. And I think it's absurd to think that the Saints could possibly win. I don't know. Anyway, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Bart says, Moore sucks as a coach with no emotion, and Rattler can't find Alvin Kamara wide open or Olave in the end zone. I mean, if you want to find my major problem with Spencer Rattler thus far is, first of all, I'm going to say this. He's 100% been better than I expected him to be. 100% been better than I expected him to be. And again, I don't know if it's the coaching staff that's like keeping him down, or if they're, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But dinking and dunking, and when he does try to throw long, I mean, he had AK wide open. You know, people are getting pissed at Olave. You know, I've been listening to this last night. We see the numbers. Olave had 10 catches, 57 yards, big deal. I mean, if you're playing a PPR, that's the only thing that does, you know, you got 10 points and whatever. You got 15.7 points if you're playing a PPR. Whoop-de-doo. When's the last time Olave has had a quarterback? I mean, for those of you who hate Derek Carr, you'll say never. So how do we know about Chris Olave? I don't know, man. Michelle Mimi Cherie. Who dat? Welcome. I'm going to try to go through these a little faster so I can get closer to the front. Todd Walter says, it's time to decorate your paper bags. Paul Laporte says it looks like 2024 all over again. It looks way worse than 2024. Paul, man. The Saints were 5-5 at one point in 2024. They are, I promise you, I will be sure. I'm not going to go this far, but I would make some kind of weird bet, like shave my head if the Saints go, I'm not going to do it. So don't cut this out and bring it back to me. So I'm not going to do it because I'm not that confident. It's not a 0.0, but do you see any stretch where the Saints can go potentially? Put the schedule up there. Potentially go have a 5-5 stretch? Are you crazy? You see 5 wins in this run? No, it's not 5. This isn't 2024 again. This is 1999 all over again. 1999. Owen Attilio says, I never really expected to win, but with the rebuild, I expected more from the coaching staff. He's disappointed. Should be. Big Valley. Why does it seem so hard for us to move the GD ball, but yet every other team does it so effortlessly? Man, I don't know. It's a great question. Silver Gator, Saints will go without a win this year. Draft a new coach and clean house. Not gonna look. I'm telling you right now. If you want a new coach, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. I'm just telling you. Even if he goes 0-17, it's 0-17. Maybe he gets fired. I mean, and they just look like they quit and give up. I don't think. Rattler needs to have his eyes checked to consistently throws behind receivers. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he does throw behind receivers sometimes, but I don't know about consistently. Again, you're talking about layers of problems right now. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I tell you this. You're going to see Shuck at some point, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I see what you're saying. Gabe, sorry. I got some spammage going on in the comments. Sorry. This is what happens when you do this. When you try to do live and Gabe can't help me anymore. I have to do it by myself. He can help me, but he can't help the same way. Daryl Hayden, 62-7 loss to the Falcons and 75-76. Did they lose twice? 62-7? It was way back when. I don't remember. Greg, Raging Cajun, they should have kept Rizzi. Are you crazy? Are you insane? By the way, if you think they should have kept Rizzi, you know how bad the special teams were yesterday? The special teams coach right now is Phil Galliano. He's been an assistant here since 2019. I'm not saying Phil Galliano is the cause for problem. I'm just saying how bad were the special teams yesterday? That was as bad as any special teams maybe has played in, I don't know, a long time. But you want to keep Rizzi? Phil Galliano was Rizzi's right-hand man. You're crazy if you think the Saints should have kept Rizzi. Insane. You know what keeping Rizzi would have done? It would have been keeping a tie to the past. And the reason why the Saints are in this boat that they're in right now is because they haven't been able to let go to ties to the past. You know as well as I do. No team can get better until they hit absolute rock bottom. Is this absolute rock bottom? I have no idea. I sure hope so, because yesterday and getting paid to talk about this team, I don't have a choice. I have to talk about this team. I have to talk about it. And so that means I have to watch 3 hours or 3 hours and 15 minutes or whatever the hell it is. But there's not a lot of people who's going to keep rock bottom. I have no idea. But keeping anything that has anything to do with the past, no. That's not an answer for anything. So, and I knew I was going to see at least one of those today. I might not be the last one I see. But keeping Darren Rizzi wouldn't have solved one GD thing. By the way, Darren Rizzi lost his last, He lost his last 5 games or 4 games last year, whatever it was. 4 games, I guess. Lost his last 4 games last year. You want to keep Darren Rizzi? Why? What would that have done for you? Nothing. Nothing. I was waiting for that one to come. Oh, Lord. Charles Schulman, you think Rattler wins his first game, he'll start winning more and more games? No. I don't think team is good enough for any quarterback on this roster to win more and more games. It's not Rattler. Shuck's not any better. I mean, do I want to see Shuck play eventually? Absolutely I do. Because you have to know. I have to know if I'm wrong. I mean, and at some point when you get to 0 and whatever, you're going to have to find out. But Rattler's not the reason why they're 0 and 3. I mean, this team, do I think he's a future for this team at quarterback? Absolutely not. But it would if Shuck played, if Rattler played, I don't know, if you went back and got Jameis Winston, I think they'd still be 0 and 3. I don't know. Not the quarterback. Although he hasn't been good either, but that's a whole different story. Brian Cavett, good morning. Don't despair. Your 2025 Saints will be better in 2026. I mean, if you're 0 and 3, then next year, if they start out 0 and 3, they're the same. They can't be worse. I was waiting for this one too. Trey the Big Bro, good morning. Maybe we're bad enough to get Loomis's walking papers and get another philosophy in the building. That's not, I mean, I get where you're coming from with the Loomis thing, but here's the thing. And I saw, again, listening to Red Bean last night, and very interesting show, by the way. It's kind of like the old Buddy D show on stilts, where people call in, and I mean, I'd say probably 60% of them are squirrels, but They're squirrels with unfiltered microphones or phones or whatever. It's kind of funny, but sad at the same time. You can't blame all. I'm going to go back and say what I've said 1,000 times. I'm going to say it again. Does Loomis share in where this team is now? Absolutely he does. Is he a part of the reason why this team is in? I mean, they're not even purgatory now. They've gone straight to hell. Is he part of the reason? Absolutely he is. But you can't blame it all on Mickey Loomis. You know who deserves a big chunk of blame for where the Saints are right now? Don't say this. You're going to talk about God when you say this? Well, I mean, the second, right behind God. God is Breeze, I guess. So it's right, whatever. God's assistant. You know who plays a big hand in this? Sean Payton plays a big hand in this. Sean Payton refused. He was like selling he was selling his soul to the devil to squeeze every single ounce of the Drew Brees turnip and refused to see the future or life without Drew Brees. They could have drafted Jordan Love. They would have never been in this situation. Why didn't they draft Jordan Love? I don't know. Didn't want to recognize life without Drew Brees. That's Sean Payton. That's not Mickey Loomis. Because if you think Mickey Loomis was making the decisions on who was getting drafted when Sean Payton was here, you're crazy. Why don't somebody blame Sean Payton for some of where this team is right now? Sean started digging the hole. Maybe he realized back then, the almighty, wonderful Sean Payton realized back then he wasn't staying. I'm like, I'll see what happens when Brees leaves. I don't want to go through this anymore. I'll just quit. I'll go spend a year in the islands and be on TV a little bit, and then I'll go find a team that I want to go coach for. You ever think about that? I think about it a lot. Sybil says coaching was horrible. Thought they went out to Seattle alone. Wasn't good. Here's another Loomis. David Robb, everybody's going to blame Loomis now. Mediocre at home, whatever that was. Loomis's bad decision coming home to roost. Overpaying for players. I mean, he's overpaying for players because nobody wants to come here, and the ones he can't. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm telling you what he's doing. No stars trading off draft picks. Trading off draft picks, you're completely wrong about that. I don't think there's a single trade, at least in recent memory, that, I mean, I'm sure he has at some point. But trading draft picks, what? You're talking about the Vele trade? That's a good trade. The trading week before last for Jalen Polk? That's a who knows trade. It's certainly not a bad. Who cares? Again, we're going to go through the 4th round, 6th round. Who cares? Overpaying? Yes. I'm pissed off about Chase Young. And Chase Young is a waste of time. He should not have paid the money for Chase Young. A lot of the other I still agree with the Juwan Johnson signing. You can say whatever you want. He's getting money as the 18th best tight end in the NFL. Is Juwan Johnson the 18th best tight end in there? I'm not going to tell. I can't find 17 better tight ends than Juwan Johnson. You can try if you want. Again, you're talking about a team that doesn't have a quarterback. Don't bash on Olave and even Kamara, really, and Juwan Johnson when you don't have a quarterback. This team doesn't have a quarterback anywhere, anyhow. Good morning, Randall. Glad you're here. Here's another. I mean, should have kept Rizzy. Trust you. I'm not trusting you. You think this team would be any better with Rizzy here? If you are, Gabe, where should they go? They should go to the feed store. Get yourself some bird feed and feed the pigeons on Sunday because you don't know jack squat about football. Sorry if you don't agree. Black Preacher Man, salute. You come into reality. You've come to the right place. This team was bad. I've been telling you, man. I'm just trying to be a realist. SJG8 Saints fan says Carolina's 1-2 now. I never said anything about Carolina. I've been saying no, but I got bashed last week when I said the Panthers were better than the Saints. Y'all remember that? I don't remember what day it was. I think it was Wednesday. I got bashed. Like multiple people bashed me, and then afterwards got bashed in comments. Yeah, the Panthers are better than the Saints? Absolutely. They were better than the Saints before Sunday. They're absolutely better than the Saints after Sunday. What about the Falcons? Falcons are better than the Saints too. Sorry. A-Town, where you been, my friend? He's got 2 words for me. We suck. We ain't good. Adam Varner, why do we continually run Kamara up the middle? He needs space, not rocket science. Where you want to run him? I mean, I don't know, man. It wouldn't have mattered yesterday. Last week, he rushed for 99 yards. He was fine. Kamara's not the problem. Where you run Kamara isn't the problem either. Jason Benson, when you hit rock bottom, there's only 2 ways to go, sideways and up. Amen. Good morning. Big Sean, welcome. Least talented team in the South and worst overall team in the league. Name one worse. I'll wait. Hey, man. I think you and I are on the same page. There's definitely not a worse team in the South. Again, the only 2 teams that I think they're competing with right now, and I don't know. It's tough. I would rank the Saints 32nd. However, an argument could be made that the Dolphins are worse and or the Titans are worse. I'm not going to argue with you if you don't think so. Just saying. Bart also says Moore hasn't shown any emotion and allows players to get away with it as he collects a check. All right. I know I'm way behind with comments. I'm like 17 minutes behind right now. So I'm going to try to catch up here. I do want to show, I'm going to go through and at least the last 20 minutes, I'm going to show comments, at least from people who haven't commented yet, especially people who are new. But I want to show, I said I was going to get to this and I want to show it. Kellen Moore, and it goes to what y'all have been talking about, okay? It goes to Kellen Moore, and look, again, if we were going to get on Dennis Allen, we got to be fair. One thing I complained the most about Dennis Allen was that I thought he had a decent football mind, but he showed no emotion. He lacked respect from his team. Now, you're talking about a guy who's only 3 games into his coaching career, so I don't want to doom him, okay? He's been great as a coordinator. He's only 37 years old. I'm not ready to say it's time to give up on Kellen Moore. In fact, I'm not even really close to that. You got to give him a whole season for sure. But when you hear a press conference like this, sure, he's saying we stunk, but he's saying we stunk in this monotone, just blasé. Look, man, you gotta get fired up. I mean, you spent too much time in the mirror repeating cliches. You need some fire. I'm not saying you need to come out and be Jim Mora and coulda, woulda, shoulda, and we sucked and all this stuff. I'm not saying you need to be like that. It wouldn't hurt if you were a little bit more like that. But I want to see more emotion than what I'm going to see in this 1 minute and 29 second clip.
Yeah, we're not clean enough. We're not clean enough. Too many penalties again, and too many of them, they're under our control. You know, there's judgment penalties in every single game, but the ones that we can control, we can't have that. We got to do a better job. Yeah, we got to do a great. I think we got to do a great job of studying this. We got, there's no throw this film away and just move on. This is 100%. We have to evaluate every little item that happened today and get better from it. Again, we did not put ourselves in a good enough position to start the game. It starts with me, and we got to find the solution.
Obviously, nitpicking with the scoreboard the way it was, but how come the decisions to go for the field goal in the first half still and both the times?
Yeah, just taking points at that point. I mean, we just got to get some momentum going our way, and so obviously we knew it was an uphill battle from at that point, and we're going to have to be really perfect to have any chance moving forward. And so yeah, no, our job is to get better right now and just get better and put ourselves in a really good position to be successful. And so we're not there yet. We're 0 for 3 so far. Doesn't feel good for anyone, but we got opportunities ahead of ourselves, and we got a group of guys that need to look forward, and they will look forward and get better this week and go for it next week. Obviously we had a couple penalties on the offensive line with the pre-snap. Those again under our control. We got to do a better job there. But again, yeah, we got behind it. We got behind in a tough environment too early, and that's a challenging formula in this league.
A couple penalties. You had 6 penalties by the time the Seahawks had 21 points. It's absurd. Again, I'm not asking for coulda, woulda, shoulda, or playoffs or any of that crap. He's too young to even know how to do that. Give me something, man. Give me some fire. You're going to lose these guys if you don't show some fire up there. You're going to lose these guys, and you're certainly going to lose the fans. They're already starting to turn on you. It's like Duncan said, honeymoon's over. I mean, my advice is worth what it costs to watch this show. But you can't just go out there, oh, we had some penalties. We got to clean it up. These guys will be better. They're not going to be better. They're not going to be better unless you get your head out of your ass. Come on, man. Just saying. Good morning, Kyle. Rock bottom this week. Hopefully become a bit more disciplined as well as youth improvement. Charles says our play calling stinks. It does kind of stink. It is kind of, I mean, it's not good. Michelle Castro Araglado Neesmith. Still a faithful fan. Glad to be back. We're glad to have you back, but you said we're not looking good. May have to go back for another surgery. We don't want any more surgeries. I don't know. Rocky says, wonder why no one else gave Kellen Moore a shot. He's 37, dude. Come on, man. 37. He didn't get a shot because he's 37. That's why he hasn't got a shot yet. What do you want him to be? He just started. He was became an offensive coordinator a few years ago. Come on, chill. Look, again, we remember how we always talk about how it's September, okay? Any Monday in September is probably going to be an overreaction Monday. It scares you to death. It scares the hell out of you if you're a Saints fan. I've said it. I agree with you. I understand. It scares the hell out of you that this team might be just awful, just even worse than I've been saying when people saying, you're so negative, Derry. They might even be worse than that. Okay. I predicted 4 wins for this football team. I don't know how they're going to get 4 wins. They might be worse than it. However, it's still a Monday in September, and you can't overreact, dude. I mean, and what I mean by overreacting is, can you say this is a bad football team? Absolutely. They're a bad football team. But you can't say it's time to fire the coach after 3 games of his career. Has he been terrible? Of course he's been terrible. He especially was bad in week 1 and week 3. But you can't go out and say it's time to fire the coach. Come on, man. Darryl Romero says, one word, execution. I mean, that's on the coach a lot. If these people think it's just the quarterback, it's more than better players, period. Coach, it's a little clustered there. But I get what you're saying. Mal says this better be rock bottom. Yeah, I hear you. Alex Williams says you fire a 4-time Pro Bowler and snap, you give a long punt return for the one you've given up in forever. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people miss JT Gray right now. I mean, yeah. Oh, boy. Larry Bro says, is Mickey Loomis ever going to be held in account for the mess he's created? I think y'all are holding him in account all the time, right? I mean, y'all are holding him in account. You mean are the Saints going to hold him in account? What do you want them to do? You want them to fire him in the middle of a season? Again, I'm going to go, if you weren't here a few minutes ago, I'm going to go back and what about the God Almighty himself, Sean Payton? Sean Payton has a major hand in if you're going to give all the credit, people want to give all the credit. Not everyone. I'm not saying everyone, but people want to give all the credit for a crappy football team to one person. But yet that one person was also part of the Super Bowl winning team, and nobody wants to give him any credit. Those same people don't want to give him any credit for that. You can't be both ways. You can't give him all the negative credit or whatever. You can't say he's the blame for everything, but it had nothing to do with the credit for winning a Super Bowl. No, it doesn't work that way. Sean Payton obviously had a huge hand in helping this team win their only Super Bowl. Obviously, the soon-to-be Hall of Famer Drew Brees had a giant hand in it. But you can't blame this team for where they are right now without giving some of the blame to Sean Payton for not foreseeing life after Drew Brees, not acknowledging that this team needed to go out and do something about life after Drew Brees. The dude couldn't throw further than 20 yards the last couple of years he was here. You mean to tell me you still didn't want to go out and find you a quarterback? I mean, you didn't really think Jameis Winston was going to be your future. Again, you could have drafted Jordan Love. I know you tried to move up and get Mahomes quite a few years ago. Whatever. But you didn't draft Jordan Love when you could have. So to me, and again, I get it. He's been gone for 4 years now. It is what it is. I understand. But if you don't think Sean Payton has a huge hand in where this team is right now, don't get me wrong, the rest of the administration that still stayed here afterwards has a huge hand in the fact of we're going to try to hang on to the past. We're going to let Dennis Allen stay here for a long time and blah, 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 and not address quarterback soon enough or whatever. You tried to do it with Derek Carr. It didn't work out. I mean, sure, they have a huge hand in it as well. But I'm just saying, you can't lay 100% of the blame on Mickey. You can't. You can do whatever you want, but you're wrong. Just saying. Mitch Bergeron. This team was a complete failure yesterday. Blame the coach if you want, but the players had to take blame also. Absolutely. And Chase Young has become the Saints' Zion Williamson. I couldn't agree more. Now, one thing I will blame Mickey Loomis for, I didn't really like the contract then. I didn't hate it, I guess. I understand why they did it. But, man, you got to do a better – I mean, you got to know Chase Young is just – I don't know, man. I'm not a professional GM, but that's looking like a really, really bad decision. I don't know. I don't want to go overboard. I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. But Chase Young missing 3 games, first 3 games of the year, that's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It just is. Again, trying to catch up here. And by the way, that's the last Mickey Loomis comment I'm showing today. Okay? If you're going to keep blaming Mickey Loomis or you're just saying things that are absolutely absurd and you're not a realist, if you don't live in the reality, you can comment all you want. We're just not going to show it. I'm done talking about that today. And if I show it, it's only because I'm on accident because I'm Ron Burgundy. If it's in the teleprompter, I'm probably going to read it. Gabe Avila says the Saints' worst enemy is themselves. They're a sloppy, undisciplined football team. I agree with that. I agree. You know, Tom Trice, I'm going to show this one because I agree with it. Sean Payton is Urban Meyer. It's probably just a little bit better than Urban Meyer. When the going gets tough, it was time to leave. It'll be interesting to see if the same thing happens in Denver. He's older now. I mean, this might be his last gig. We'll see. What else we got? Rainy Cajun. Saints stunk so bad, even his Seattle neighbors said sorry instead of their normal smack talking. I love it. I love it. Ryan O'Shea. Crazy to think quarterback would be on the lower end of our current problems. That's true, isn't it? Defense was a no-show again. Speechless on the special teams. Crazy. I even thought the O-line and defense could be middle of the pack. So did I. I was screaming it. I said the same thing, Ryan. You and I are on the same page. If you'd have told me beforehand, well, first of all, I knew that I've been telling you for months that the Saints were going to be 0-4. Okay. But if you would have told me even a month ago that when the Saints got to 0-3, that quarterback would probably be about number 8 on their list of problems, I would have told you were crazy. But that's about where it is. That's about where it is. Lance Dobard. Baum was a good pick. You mean Baun? Yeah. Zach Baun was a good pick. No doubt. Randall says Carolina is absolutely better than the Saints. Saints are the worst team in football. I mean, I can't argue. It could be. My friend Trey Rickerson is here. He loves the Saints, but yesterday was hard to watch. You ain't kidding, especially when you got to watch it. I mean, you do. Big Sean says, throw the film away. No, you use to show them where they are. I agree. You can't throw it away. Let's see. What else we got? Ramona, you're new here. Welcome. Can't blame the coach or the quarterback when he throws it and they drop the ball. Whose fault is it? I don't think there were drops yesterday. We gave them yards to get first downs they needed. Our losses were the gains. Until we fix this, we'll be on the losing side always. And there's lots of things to fix, Ramona. But there weren't really drops yesterday. You can't keep throwing 6, 7 yards. And that's true. Who Dat Daddy says his current feelings about this team And if you can't see it, it's a really mad emoji, one with using filth, foreign filth words. Leonardo says, it's not the club, it's the golfer. Amen. What else we got here? Musette. Now, here's some we need some positivity. Musette, thanks for coming on. This is probably the most positive comment we've had so far today. We needed one. Let's hope yesterday was a one-off. I would like to see at least the rest of the games of the season being close, at least, even if we lose. I agree. We're going to bring on Gabe in just a minute here, but let's see. Javante says facts about Sean. He's been saying that. I mean, look, some people don't want to realize. Some people just don't want to realize. They don't want to acknowledge that Sean Payton is. I'm not going to even go as. I'm not going to say he's like half the problem or something silly like that. But think back to the time. Think back again. Go back in time. You don't have to go that far back. This process of being where the Saints are right now, it didn't take a year. It didn't take 2 years. This process has been in place for about 6, 7. Even when Drew Brees was here, it still was going down. Think about this team. The last time this team was in primo position, to me, was, I don't know, probably the no call. Yeah, I had to bring it up. I mean, even the next year, losing to Tampa Bay in the playoffs and, having the fumble. We had 4 turnovers in that game. Saints didn't deserve to win that game. Should they have won in the grand scheme? I guess. I mean, they were better than Tampa Bay that day. They were better than Tampa Bay all year. They were better than, it is what it is. They lost, though. They had already started going downhill. Drew Brees, again, couldn't throw the ball further than 20 yards. The Saints didn't want to acknowledge then, that Sean Payton was a big part of that they needed to address life without Drew Brees. They just didn't want to. They didn't want to accept the fact. It is what it is. I mean, it sucks. When you have a legend like that playing for this team, you want it to go on as long as it can go on for. But you still have to, the good teams look ahead. I mean, think about the teams that have been really good. I mean, for a long time. I mean, teams that are successful year after year after year. Think about the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, think about how many great quarterbacks they've had over the last 40 years. And even when they haven't had great ones, they usually have good ones. I mean, think about other teams that are pretty. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not always great, but they're usually pretty darn good. Think about all the really good quarterbacks that they've had over the past, 35, 40 years. All the good franchises, the teams that win year after year after year, not just for a 15-year stretch. Don't get me wrong. It's the 15-year stretch was fantastic. We needed to have that. I mean, this team over the course of its history has been terrible. But you have the good teams, the really good teams, the teams that are on a different level over the course of long term. They're able to address their deficiencies and see them 2 years ahead of time. The Saints weren't able to do that. They just haven't been able to do that. I don't know. Shane, my friend Shane's here. You want to get some Miller ponies, my friend? Back in the day. You said they may make a quarterback change. Not sure what to read into that. Tyler come in late at some point. You need to try something different, even if Rattler is not the only problem. Yeah, I mean, look. Again, I'm not blaming anything on Spencer Rattler, but the point of where we are with Rattler is I'm not blaming him, not coming down on him. I think he's played, again, better than I expected him to play. 100%. Absolutely better than I expected. But it's still not great. And you can't win with dinks and dunks. And when he tries to go long, he's missing receivers. And again, they'd still be 0-3 no matter who the quarterback was. Okay, so Rattler lovers, don't get pissed off at me. I'm not trying to piss you off. I'm telling you reality. This show is based in reality. It's where we are. Spencer Rattler is not the future of this team. He's never going to be the future of this team. I don't think Tyler Shuck's going to be the future of this team either, but at some point in the near future, we're going to see him. So, if you're asking me, how long would I stick with Rattler? I said this last week, and I'm going to stick with this answer. I think you have to play him this week. If the Saints are getting blown out like they did, I'd like to see Shuck play a little bit more. However, when the Saints come home in the Dome and play the Giants with a real chance to win, that line is not out right now. If I had to make it right now, I'd say, I don't know, Gabe, what do you think? The Giants would be about 3.5, 3-point favorites, somewhere around that, 3-point favorites, maybe 2.5. Yeah, 2.5, 3, somewhere along those lines. I would play Spencer Rattler in that game to give him a chance to get a win. He's earned the right at this point. If you made him your starting quarterback, Spencer Rattler has earned the right to get a chance to win a football game. He has no chance to win a football game this week. Let's be realistic. So going to that, knowing that, again, if it turns into a mess, then you go with Shuck in the second half, maybe, if it's bad at halftime. If it's not a mess, then you leave Rattler in there. But regardless, I think even if he stinks up the joint, you give him one more after this, and you see if he can win a football game. And if he beats the Giants, then you leave him in. But at some point, you're going to see Shuck. This team isn't good enough not to be like 2-6 or 2-8 or whatever it is. So even if he beats the Giants, you're going to find a way to get Shuck in there. All you people who can't wait to see Shuck in the game because you think it's going to make a difference, you got to know what you have. You got to find out, because you got to know if you got the number 1 or the number 2 or the number 3 draft pick in next year's draft, you're going to have to know, do we need to spend the pick on a quarterback? You got to know. You don't know that right now. You don't know the answer to that right now. So you're going to see Tyler Shuck at some point. But Spencer Rattler's earned the right to try to get himself a win. No one should have to go through this crap that he's going through right now. And again, none of this is his fault. Well, not much of it is his fault. Let's put it that way. So anyway, that's my opinion on where we are. Kyle Sherman is a positive. He likes the white helmets. You know what? I liked them more than I thought I would. I like the whole uniform thing more than I thought I would, for sure. Let's see. Jason Benson, going back to the yacht cruise thing. Everyone has been saying we're going to be outclassed in Seattle and, of course, Buffalo. Now they see what we look like, and we're shocked. Come on, man. It was worse than expected, but, hey, we've got time for yacht cruises. I don't get that at all. Again, trying to catch up, and I'm getting closer now. I'm only about 4 minutes behind now. Sean H. says the Saints cared too much about Drew's feelings, which handicapped them from drafting the quarterback of the future. Could have had, I didn't even realize that. You're right, though. Could have had Lamar Jackson or Love. You're right. 100%. Lance says Rat is in the Giants game. I mean, he has. He really has. Let's see what we got here. A couple more before we get to Gabe. By the way, I gotta be honest. The comments today have been way more rational, I guess is the right way to put it. Maybe it's because that's the audience that we have now, because this show is based in reality, and that's not what I don't know what I was expecting, but I appreciate it. Ant C. Russell says Buffalo minus 15.5 is the best bet of the week. I don't think so. Again, I don't want to give a spoiler alert, but I'm certainly not going to make it a best bet, but I'm kind of leaning towards Saints plus 15.5. That line's going to change, by the way. I'll ask Gabe what he thinks in a minute, but I think that DraftKings will probably catch up with the other books and probably get to 16.5. I don't know if it stays there, though. And I think by the end of the week, it might be more like 14.5. Because the people with the money, and look, by the way, the Saints line, interestingly enough, we told you last week we didn't think it would go higher. Not only did it not go higher, it actually dropped below the touchdown. At game time, at kickoff, it got down to 6.5. So some people lost their money betting on the Saints yesterday. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't touch this game with a stick, first off. Second of all, though, if I were given money and were forced to bet it, I think I would take the Saints right now. I think the Saints are going to be, look, you're still talking about a professional football team. The Browns beat the Packers, okay? The Bears whipped, and I mean whipped, the Cowboys' ass. On any given Sunday, I know, I'm not saying the Saints going to win the game, but I think the Saints going to play, you can't play any worse. I think they're going to play much better on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Bills, I mean, what they're resting. What's their schedule looking like afterwards? They play a home game against the Patriots the week after. Then they go to the Falcons, and then they go to they got an easy schedule coming up. So then they got the Chiefs coming up in November. So they got a little ways to go. So I could see the Bills kind of sleepwalking through this game. That's a lot of points in the NFL. Let's see. Tom Trice says Rat deserving to be there when they finally win. It's a team game. Look, again, he's going through all this crap. He deserves to at least have a chance to win. Now, if they lose this week and he loses to the Giants, then it's off. I mean, 0-11 sucks. I don't want you to be 0-11, but after that, you can't keep doing it. You got to see what you got. Let's see. All right, Larry, fair enough. You did this with a little wink and a nod. I'll give you this one. 2009 was a long time ago. I remember too many 7-9 seasons since then to put Sean Payton on a pedestal. However, can't be a clean sweep while he who shall not be named remains at the helm. I hear you. I'm not saying you're crazy. By the way, I'm not trying to give the GM a pass. He hasn't been good. But you can't. I've seen too many people trying to just blame everything on Mickey Loomis. You're wrong. If you're blaming everything on Mickey Loomis, get a grip. Get a grip. It's not just Mickey Loomis. Is he a part of it? Absolutely, he's part of it. Way more problems than that. All right. We got to get to Gabe. But before we do that, again, I'm going to finish the show with Saints today, but I do want to talk a little bit about Tulane, and I want to talk about LSU again briefly. So we're going to finish the show with Saints before we go off. We got about 22 minutes left. I am going to hit the button at 12:30. I'm telling you. We told you earlier we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Thank you for asking. Of all the questions we've had today, hundreds, that might be the best one. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the whole wide world. And they will maximize the return for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none, I repeat, none, zero, nada, with their dedication and success. You can't find them. They don't exist. They are fully licensed. They're ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. What's really important? Not the Saints special teams. That's definitely not important, apparently. Not the Saints running game. That's non-existent. That's not important. Not the Saints defense. Oh, no. They haven't been good. You know what's really important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. All right. The man, the myth, the legend. I didn't do the official tally, but I believe he's going to wear the crown this week. Gabe Henderson had a good betting week. In fact, two of us had a pretty good betting week. One of us, maybe not so much, but he was due for a letdown. But anyway,
it would have been even better if I had gone with my gut and shown some cojones and picked Indiana. I really liked Indiana -6 in that game, and they won. What was it, 63-10 or something like that against an Illinois team that I don't think is very good.
I'm glad I didn't touch that one because I thought about it. I wasn't going to do it, but I thought about it, and I was going to take Illinois. And I'm glad I didn't. So I keep reminding every time I think about taking a college game, I remind myself what I tell Uncle Big Nick: stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane. So anyway,
I was debating that one in Nebraska and Michigan, even though I won Nebraska, Michigan. Really kicking myself.
We are going to come back. I want to get your thoughts on Saints in a second, and we're going to get our Monday night preview before we go. But I want to spend like literally 2 minutes talking about some college football things. First, real quick, look, I'm rooting. I think Tulane still has a shot at. I said they needed to not get their ass beat, and they got their ass beat. I think they still have a shot at being the non-Power 4 school, but there's no question now that they 100% need to run the table.
I don't know if they need to run the table.
I think they do, because when you lose like this later on, if somebody else, because now they're like on equal footing with USF. I said USF, you can't get your ass kicked like they got kicked against Miami, and now Tulane's got their ass kicked, so they don't have any leg to stand on when it comes to this. But anyway,
yeah, but it doesn't matter as long as they win the conference.
Yeah, we'll see. But they got jolted anyway. Memphis is probably gonna be the favorite now, I would guess. Would you what did you take out of this? I mean, obviously Ole Miss was ready for this game. We're gonna kind of transition using Ole Miss to get into where we are, but Ole Miss was, I mean, even better than I thought they would be.
I'll give you 7 words.
Oh boy, please
we
don't.
Are who we
Kiffin.
thought they were.
Okay, all right. As long as you don't say Lane Kiffin.
No, I mean I knew Tulane wasn't a top 25 team. Their game against South Alabama, I mentioned it last week. The warning signs were there on the road. Ole Miss is a very good team, and this is what happens.
Yeah. David +1 # by the way says that Texan survivor pick. Glad you didn't follow. No road and division games this early. You can't. Not just the Texans, and again, I don't want to get on the Texans train. You don't even have to respond to this, Gabe. But you just can't take. It's a golden rule. Do not take a division, a game, a road team in a division game. Don't do it. Not in Survivor. You will be sorry. All right, as we transition into Ole Miss, I was kind of surprised to see, and I'm sorry I'm not talking more about Tulane this morning, but I mean, what do you want to say? They're 14-point. If you can't see the graphic, the Tulane Green Wave are 14-point favorites on the road this week, again at Tulsa. Tulsa's not a very good football team. That game also 2:30, same time as LSU. The over-under, I was kind of surprised that it was low, 53.5. Again, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I like Tulane this week. I think they'll bounce back just fine. We'll talk more about Tulane probably on Wednesday, by the way. I believe Richie Mills is going to be our guest. I gotta confirm it with him, but we're not quite there. That transitions me into LSU, which I was surprised when I saw this line. We're usually pretty good at making lines. This is not the line that I would have picked. I would have thought it would have been LSU either in a pick'em or maybe a slight favorite on the road at Ole Miss, but Ole Miss is a 2.5-point favorite over LSU. I think that's absurd.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Okay, well, that makes one of us.
It's because what we've seen from Clemson, people are really starting to look at LSU in a different light because of what Clemson has done. So this doesn't surprise me, but we're talking about an Ole Miss team. I think there's a bit of recency bias in this. I would have guessed it was LSU +1.5. That would have been my guess for a line. But we're talking about an Ole Miss team that struggled against Arkansas, an Ole Miss team that struggled against Kentucky. So
correct.
I don't know. I'm staying far away from this game. But
well, I'm also gonna say, I mean, when people want to talk about, well, maybe Clemson sucks, blah blah blah. I'm going to say this again. I said it last week. Maybe Clemson sucks because LSU pounded them and took all their will or whatever. I'm not saying that's a good reason. To me, Dabo's been overrated for quite a bit now. I'm very disappointed. I thought he was going to turn out to be like this coach, this potential Hall of Fame coach, and he's kind of helped this team disappear. I thought they were really good going into the season, but again, I think they took a KO punch from LSU, and they just haven't recovered since. So I think it's probably if they beat LSU, who knows? They might be 4-0 right now.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about this game. Part of me is saying that LSU could really lose here, but at the same time, I think Ole Miss is being vastly overrated.
Absolutely, they are. They're incredibly overrated.
We're talking about a close win over Arkansas, who just lost to Memphis. We're talking about a team that played Kentucky close. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
I mean, if I had to bet, I would take LSU plus the points.
yeah, it's early, but again, I'm going to go back to the stay in my lane, bro. I will not make this a best bet,
No,
but
no,
I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. I'm definitely picking LSU to win this game. I think. Look, I'm not saying LSU is. They dropped to number 4. Do I think they're one of the 4th best team in the country? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. But I can tell you what, their defense is for real and great. Ole Miss, you've done fantastic against Arkansas and Tulane the last 2 weeks. Who gives a rat's patoot? You're playing a real defense this week, pal. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll be eating my words. Doesn't usually happen, but we'll see. All right. Just your thoughts real quick. Going back to the Saints briefly. Look, they're 0-3. Neither one of us is surprised. We've both been talking about for weeks and weeks. What were that? We said go do the parlay. Go do the 4-game parlay that they're going to start out 0-4. You were getting, I don't know, plus money, I believe, or like plus one. Was it plus 180 or something, or plus 200 or something along those lines? I don't remember exactly. Whatever it was, you were getting good odds to go bet the parlay on them losing their first 4 games, and here we are. They're going to lose their first 4 games. And yesterday was a train wreck, and hopefully they'll realize that, we got to get our heads out of. Look, it was their first game on the road in a month. I mean, they spent their last 2 preseason games at home, started the season with first 2 games at home. They just didn't know how to handle the road. Hopefully they'll handle it better this week.
I mean, I think the only hope for handling it better this week is that Buffalo comes out and doesn't care.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, Buffalo is they look really good for the first few weeks. I mean, if they handled Baltimore at home, there's a little hope for this one. I will give you some numbers though.
Okay.
We're talking about this, and I mentioned, I believe, I could be wrong. I believe it was One Smoke was mentioning betting the total in this game, and to that I would recommend waiting. Because right now at BetMGM, 79% of spread bets at minus 16.5 with minus 110 odds, 79% of spread bets are on the Bills.
Yeah.
And that's not just a BetMGM thing either. If you go
I'm looking
at FanDuel data, 79% of spread bets at 16.5 at the same price at FanDuel are still on the Bills as well. And 90% of the money is on the Bills. To cover
that's why I think that DraftKings, I said earlier, I think DraftKings will probably get to 16.5 with everybody else. But then I think they'll all start to wind down a little bit, because I think that there are people waiting to get a value, get 16.5, and then there'll probably be a lot of people who bet 14.5 when it gets and try to middle it. So we'll see.
Yeah, but so I will say to One Smoke, who was talking about betting the under, wait till later in the week, because right now 70% of the money is on the over, and the over is juiced slightly to minus 110. So it's at 47.5. We will see it go up probably to 48.5. I don't know where it'll go from there, but I would at least hold out until you get that number.
All right, we got about 10 minutes left in the show. Charles wants to know why LSU dropped. It's because Miami leapfrogged them,
which I think is crazy. But
I also think is crazy. However, does what polls mean in September?
Nothing.
Not a gosh darn thing. Who cares? Is my point. All right,
I think what that tells me is that most people didn't watch Miami, Florida. They just box score watched. Correct. They just saw the end of the game, because if you look at the box score, Miami really handled them, but Florida kept it close, even though you never thought Florida was going to win.
I mean, it was 13-7. They got back to 13-7 there. Exactly. And honest, that last touchdown was completely garbage, BS touchdown. Don't let the score was really 20-7 is what the score really was. So I wouldn't get too fired up.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like I said, I never felt
a good football team
in that game, but it was
closer
than.
So anyway, I've been saying that Miami might be worth a flyer for the national championship. Maybe not now, because might be a little bit too late for that. All right, Monday Night Football again. I'm going to finish. I'm going to spend all about the last 6 minutes of the show talking about the Saints. So get your final Saints comments in now. We got about 2-3 more minutes with Gabe. I want to briefly touch on Lions and Ravens, one of the better Monday Night Football games, because you showed me what's coming on Monday night next week. They got a doubleheader, and it's bad. I mean, it is really bad. So I'm glad we got Lions and Ravens tonight on Monday Night Football. Lions getting 4.5. We've been doing pretty good with our primetime picks as of late. We'll see if we're on the same page for this one. What you got? Lions getting 4.5 at the Ravens.
I kind of like the Lions plus 4.5 here.
Okay, give me your reasoning.
I just think that the Lions are being undervalued by the markets. I think they're still a good football team. I think they're going to come out and give Baltimore a game. I don't think I would pick a money line in this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Campbell and company came out and gave the Ravens a fight.
Gabe and I have been on the same side so much this year. It is really kind of scary. And we're on the same side again. I like the Lions too, and I don't usually. I mean, you know that I have, if anything, I have a maybe bias go the other way, and I try to overcorrect, but I don't even need to correct. I just like the Lions. Yeah, I wouldn't surprise me at all if they won this game straight up. The Ravens are kind of like probably a little too high on themselves, is my opinion on where they are right now. Don't get me wrong. I think Lamar Jackson is one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the league right now, and I'm not a big Jared Goff fan. However, I like when the Lions get no respect. They're going on the road. I think this is going to be a super tight game. I think it's going to be a fun game. I kind of like the under in this game. If you made me, I think that total is too high. I actually think you're going to see some Lions defense. I think they're going to pressure Jackson. And meanwhile, I think the Ravens will be able to do something too. I'm not going out and betting it, but my biggest play in this game is I'm with Gabe. I like Lions plus 4.5. And again, it wouldn't surprise me at all if the Lions won this game outright.
I have no reasoning for this. I haven't done any research on this game. I kind of feel like there's going to be a lot of points.
UBN, Detroit sucks outdoors, take the Ravens. Didn't they beat Kansas City or on the road or almost beat them last year? Was it two? I forget.
They did beat them in week 1.
Okay, so
there's a whole stat. It's one of those miscellaneous nonsense things about Jared Goff being bad outside of a dome.
Yeah. I think the Lions play better when they have a chip on their shoulder. I think they clearly have a chip on their shoulder in this game. And I just don't look. I think the Ravens are good, but I just don't think they're that good. And I think they're going to let their ego get to them a little bit. So anyway, that's what I think. All right. What else you got before we go? We got about, 6-7 minutes, and I want to get back to Saints before we close it out here.
Nothing. Everything in football has sucked.
Yeah, I'm sorry about your text. I didn't say I purposefully didn't bring it up, but
okay. I'm ready to fire Nick Caley already.
Fire.
I'm ready to. Some heads will roll for this.
Well,
it's pretty grim.
A lot of teams fans are wanting heads to roll in week 3. Gotta wait just a little bit longer.
No, but I think it's very evident that some heads need to roll in Houston.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the head coach is fine. I think the quarterback is fine. I think everyone else is. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be a little bit less feisty about the Texans. We'll see. Wednesday will be our guest show. You'll be here with us, and we will definitely talk more about college football on Wednesday and probably get into the whole. I didn't even really talk about it here as I'll put this back up, but we didn't even really talk about it. But LSU, their annual SEC opponents, Texas A&M, Arkansas, and Ole Miss. I think you were right on the other day, weren't you?
No. I only got 1 of 3.
Oh, you only got 1 of 3.
Arkansas. Well, to be fair, what I said on Friday is what I wanted to happen, not what I thought would happen.
Okay.
I kind of figured these would be the 3, but
all right. Well, we'll talk more about that. That's definitely going to come up on Wednesday. I will see you then.
For sure. I don't like it, but yeah, we will.
All right. Time to wrap up the show talking about Saints a little bit. Anything else that we missed? I know. David +1 #. Saints and Texans with the same record. Hey, man, it's a fact. We speak facts on this show. That is just saying. One Smoke says the Texans should send the Saints some picks for Alvin Kamara. He sent that. He sent the laughing emoji to go with it. Yeah, I don't know. Pelicans, by the way, is it this week they start preseason, or are they just starting with train? I don't know. Let me look it up. Here we go. Live TV here. preseason. First game? Oh, no, not till October 14th. I know that camp is starting, so people are getting fired up about the Pels. I got to be honest. I wish the NBA, I don't know what you do, but I hate that hockey and basketball are starting already. Or getting in. Let us get into the football season for Christ's sake. It's a little bit too early. I'm just saying. Gabe's saying the Texans' schedule has been a lot tougher. For sure. Nola Man says, good show. Looks like you won't be able to sell any more games this year. You know what? You might. I hate to say this, but look, you got to do what's best for you. I'm not advocating for people to sell their tickets to the other fan, but you got to understand, right? If you can't go to a game or, you want to sell tickets, if you got to sell them to the other fans, you got to do what you got to do. And I completely understand. UBN says the Texans could probably use Rattler. Wow. I'm not going to tell you what I'm not going to tell you what he's doing there. My goodness. Let's see what else we got going on here. I got my things kind of locked up, but Earl says Stroud is not as great as everyone thought. Still better than the Saints quarterbacks. But remember, though, I've said this 1,000 times. Okay, here's one thing you have to remember: we don't overreact in week 3. I know that Stroud, he wasn't as good in his sophomore season as he was in year 1, but which one's the real Stroud? I don't think we know the answer to that yet, right? Larry Bro says, thanks for the chance to vent. Better days are ahead. Absolutely they are. At some point, better days are ahead. Might not be today or tomorrow, but better days ahead. Just saying. Let's see. Chad Gage said he would be okay if we sent all of our quarterbacks for a 20th round pick. 20th round pick. Oh, man. That's out there. Let's see. One Smoke says, did I see Quincy Riley make a play? I did. You think he's the best cornerback we have? Kool-Aid and Isaac Yiadom. Well, I don't agree about Kool-Aid, but Isaac Yiadom, man. They need to make sure, because I don't know if y'all remember this or not, but when they signed Yiadom, he's got a clause. If he plays in 25% of the Saints snaps, they have to give up a 4th round pick. Now, y'all know what I think about 4th round picks. I think they're just slightly ahead of worthless. They're worth something, but they're just slightly ahead of nothing. However, that being said, please, for the love of God and all that is holy, make sure you do not let Isaac Yiadom start 25%. You can't, especially at this point. Why would you even let him? Cut his ass. Terrible. Certainly don't let him play. Who dat daddy? Family news flash. We suck. Come on, man. You got it. I want some love in your heart. Let's find some. I'm the one asking for positivity. Good Lord. This might be the last comment. Lance Stobart says Yiadom and Ruiz Ruiz was terrible again. It's terrible, man. Terrible. God awful. Did you give the thumbs up, the like to the show today? If you're watching on Facebook, why haven't you come find us on YouTube yet? We need them YouTube subs. We need you to come find us on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know. I got to go back and watch the game. The game was so bad, I didn't even notice to see if Penning was even any good yesterday. I have no idea. Sean wants to know the Saints trade. They're not trading Olave, by the way. I have to answer this at least once every 2 weeks. The Saints, repeat after me, are not trading Olave. What do I think they can get for him? Not much. And it's not because he hasn't been good. He doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him deep. We don't know what Olave is. But if you're asking me what they could get for him, probably in the neighborhood of a 3rd to 4th rounder. 3rd to 5th rounder, I should say. Olave's not even in the top 10. Y'all keep saying crap that doesn't matter. Olave is not a problem. Okay? It's not a problem. He doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him. You don't know how good a receiver is if he doesn't have a quarterback to throw to him. I'm not blaming Spencer Rattler. Tyler Shuck could be in there and be the same damn thing. It's not Tyler Shuck. It's not Spencer. They got to get a real quarterback. Then worry about Olave. Jason Benson, we have 14 games to go. Sideways or up? I don't think the Saints are going to go winless. I think they're going to win. I mean, I said 4. I don't want to revise it yet because when I said they would only win 4 this year, I factored in that they would lose their first 4. So I'm not going to change. I'm not doing overreaction Monday. I'm not changing now. So I still say 4. Daryl Hayden, great show. Thank you so much. Earl's picks. They're not trading Olave, but they're not re-signing him either. You want to bet? I bet they do. Charles Mangus, need a better kicker. Absolutely. Not that a kicker matters. Just like quarterback doesn't really matter. They should have. I mean, there's no reason not to use Charlie Smith right now. That's just my opinion. SJG8 Saints fan, haven't had a quarterback since Breeze. That's why Sean Payton is not here. Probably not. David +1 hash. Do the Saints beat the Giants? Ask me that next week. Too early. I want to see the Giants didn't look very good last night. I'm just saying. One smoke, 100%. Alvin Kamara is more likely to get traded. 100%. I think there's an excellent chance that Alvin Kamara gets traded. He's got to agree to get traded. Now, you want some positivity. Not that one. Michelle Castro Arreglado Neesmith. Our team hit rock bottom, so let's go. They will shock us next week. They win. They would 100% shock me. I would be shocked. That would be a fun show. Tom says, thanks for letting us vet. See you next time. We will be here on Wednesday. You know next time. As you see it on your screen. If you don't see it, Wednesday. If you haven't been listening live, you're listening after the fact. We would love to have you live. Wednesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Again, I believe my guest is going to be Richie Mills from WGNO ABC 26. He has not been on the show, so this would be a new guest, but I've got to confirm with him. He was supposed to come on last week, couldn't, said he would come on this week. I have not spoken to him since last Tuesday afternoon. So I'll get in touch with him and make sure that's the case. Either way, we're going to have a trade. We're going to have a trade. We are going to have a guest on Wednesday. Lance says if they trade AK, he may turn it off. Just giving you a heads up, dude. I mean, AK needs to go somewhere else. And not because I want AK to go somewhere else, but he needs to go to a winning team. And he's 30 years old, man. The Saints owe it to that dude to let him. I mean, maybe he just wants to finish it. I can't imagine. But they owe it to that dude to go somewhere and maybe can win. Chad says, thanks, Jim and Gabe. Need the vent. Great show, as always. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being a part of the family. Bree, I didn't even think about this one. Bree Tronson. I know I screwed up your name. I'm sorry. December 2nd, 2013. That was bad. I'm usually good with names, too. That was really bad. Anyway, Bree says December 2nd, 2013, still primetime Drew Brees and et cetera. Got crushed 34-7. A Drew Brees Saints top. It happens. It happens. I don't know. Anyway, last comment, because I got to go. I'm going over again. Who Dat Daddy says, he would say that we'll be fine, family, but he don't want to lie to us. It's going to be all right, Sha. I promise. One way or the other, it's going to be all right. Look, life goes on. I know it sucks, but there are going to be games where there are positives. I'm sure of it. I still think this team has a very good chance to be better in week 18 than they were in week 1. Okay. They were way worse in week 3 than we've seen them in a while. Again, it's been 288 days since they won a football game. But I honestly, look, it's 3 games. You can't give up hope on your football coach after 3 games, especially a guy that's 37. The dude has a brilliant mind. He just needs to learn how to be a head coach. He's learning on the job with everybody else. It's a rebuilding year. And when you're talking about rebuilding, it's rebuilding for him too. He doesn't know how to do the day-to-day things that head coaches need to do. It's okay. He's going to figure it out. And if he doesn't figure it out, well, then they'll have to start over again. But you can't say after 3 weeks that Kellen Moore shouldn't be here. That's absurd. Give the dude a chance. I want to see improvement from him every week, just like I want to see improvement from the rest of this team. Just look, don't go. I mean, it's a pretty, I say it's simple. I guess it's not simple, but your goal this week should be to get better and just not get blown out. Easier said than done. I get it. We'll see. Anyway, family, we'll talk again on Wednesday. I'll be a little bit more I know we'll all be a little bit more positive on Wednesday, right? We got to be. You got to look forward. I know it's the Bills. We got to look forward. Baby steps. They'll get better. We will see you on Wednesday. That is going to wrap it up for us today on this Monday, this Mano E Monday. I want to thank Gabe Henderson and, of course, you're not just our guest, you're our family. A reminder, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell to receive notifications when we go on the air live. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, many more. Wherever you get audio podcasts, we're probably there. You can find us. And you also always find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. You can find me on bet.NOLA.com. And don't forget to check out our Saints Insiders. They have their own YouTube page. You can also find them on NOLA.com/Saints. Look, woosah. Take it easy. It'll be okay. I promise. Get yourself a good lunch. Maybe eat some red beans for dinner like I'm going to do tonight. The wifey's already got the beans in the crock pot. We're doing well. It's all good. By the way, before I go, happy heavenly birthday to my sister up there. She's watching over the Saints and the Saints fans. Today would have been her 50. I got to think about it for a second. Today would have been her 54th birthday. We miss you and love you, Kristen Derry McBride. And we will see you all on Wednesday. Until then, take it easy, my friends.